Hey, 7th graders, Mr. Eller again with another one of your flip lessons. Today we're going to be working on number, 36 in our interactive notebook. Jamestown Colony should go relatively quickly. Should have your page already cut out and put into your interactive notebook. And it's fill in the blank notes, so it should be relatively quick. All right, here we go. All right, as it says, Jamestown is going to be the first permanent colony in the English colony, so it's going to be kind of what starts those colonial regions we talked about, or we've been talking about. Okay, so King James, pictured here, is going to grant a charter to the Virginia Company to settle in America. Now, what that's going to do is it's going to allow this company to try to make a colony in the Americas. It's going to help King James out because obviously that mercantilist policy, he's going to be able to make money. But remember, the key point for remembering the differences between different colonial groups is that Jamestown, right? This is a company, the Virginia Company. So a company's goal is to do what? That's right. It's going to be to make money. All right. So who was the Virginia Company? Ooh, you can't really see me in here. The Virginia Company is a joint stock company that was seeking to make profits. So what does that mean? Joint stock. Well, kind of like the stock market today, it's going to be offering people investment. So they would go to different people and they'd say, do you want to invest in my company? They'd give them so much money with the expectation that once your company makes some money, you're going to get it back. So the whole idea is this is how we get investments because going over to the Americas is going to be expensive, and the people who invest are going to expect some money back in return. And this is kind of the start of what we see with today's stock market, with people buying stocks at the New York City Stock Exchange. Okay, so one of the things we want to take a peek at is let's look at, this is the list of the people who were coming over on the first ship to Jamestown, the population, if you will. And if we could see, you might want to think of, what are some of the people that you might want to come to start a colony, okay? For the folks at Jamestown, as we can look, many of the folks were gentlemen. What does that mean? That means these were the people who were kind of the brains of the operation. These were businessmen. These were the people that were seeking to make money. So let's keep our ears and eyes out for remembering most of the people who came over to Jamestown Colony were gentlemen or people who were used to working in offices and businesses and trying to make money. She did. So the voyage to the New World. Let me make sure I get all this out here first. Oh, gotta go back. There we go. In December 1606, 105 settlers, that settlers list that we just talked about, is going to set sail for America. They landed in Virginia in April of 1607. So that lets you know that length of time and getting back and forth between the Old World and the New World. Let's see, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it took them about 4 months, and usually when you left in the winter, that's how long it took because the Atlantic was a little bit choppy. But 105 settlers set off for America, and they're going to land there in April of 1607. So we talked about this, right, with our 3 L's. So the people from Jamestown were looking for economic opportunities. So which L were they looking for? Well, let's think about it. Are they looking for land? Not so much at this time period, but they're expecting wealth from gold. They're seeing those Spanish colonies bring back boatloads of gold. So that's one of the big things they're really thinking about getting. Are they really thinking of liberty? No, not too much in here about religious freedom or political freedom or social freedoms. That's right, kids. They're looking for economic opportunities, so they are seeking out opportunities in livelihood. They are trying to make some money. So they picked Jamestown Island, which was kind of up the coast a little bit. Why did the settlers choose Jamestown? So this is going to go kind of in your where box. They wanted to be far enough inland because remember they're worried about the Spanish. The claims right now. This is 1607. We're really not going to start to see the Virginia colony, and really the American colonies really take off until about 1650-ish. So it's far enough to kind of be protected from the Spanish, but it's also going to be deep enough so that they can anchor their ships and things like that. And they were hoping that the swamp and some of the other areas were going to give them some protection from the Native Americans because they were worried a little bit about encroaching on their land as well. They were in a tidal region, which means they're in a mixture of salt water and fresh water, so not exactly the most ideal location for survival, but this is where they picked to go. Okay, so this is just what Jamestown built a fort. You can kind of get an idea of, what was going on in the situations based on the fact that the first thing they decided to do was build a fort. They were worried about being attacked, not only by Native Americans, but also by the Spanish, and they felt protection was a pretty big deal. Okay, starving time. Okay, so this part, starving time, is going to go into your what section, kind of what happened. We're going to kind of go through a couple slides here. Jamestown was not easy, and the colonial areas were not easy for the new Europeans there. Many of them, as we said, were gentlemen, so they're not accustomed to doing work with their hands. They're there for economic opportunity, so they're spending a lot of time looking for gold, and what they're not doing is building shelters, farming, setting up for the winter months when they're not going to be able to hunt, they're not going to be able to fish, they're not going to be able to kind of get out of the fort and have those things that they can kind of rely on, those food stores that they can rely on through the winter. In the winter of 1609 is going to be kind of known as the starving time. We now know that this was a particularly brutal winter, that it was very, very cold for what people are used to, that the Jamestown area before then was going through kind of a drought time period, so it was more difficult to grow and cultivate crops during that time period. So this was really not the best time period to kind of come to Virginia and try to make a colony. So why is it called starving time? Well, it's kind of in. There we go. Trying to make sure we get all the slides here before we go. I'll kind of get up here. 144 of the 214 colonists died. So if you want to do some quick math, that's way over half. Disease. They're in the river. They're not really figuring out that we shouldn't drink the water that we're dumping our garbage and we're dumping our bodily wastes in. We shouldn't probably be drinking that water. Plus, it was very salty, so that's not good for hydration purposes. The hunger from not searching for gold, for spending all the time going for gold and not trying to figure out a food source. And then remember, they built a fort, so they're getting attacked by Native Americans. They did not have good relations with the natives. So really, during that winter, basically the natives were kind of hanging out outside the fort. And anytime somebody came out, they were basically killing them. They weren't allowing them to go out and hunt and things like that. So couple this all together, and it was a very, very, very bad first winter for the Jamestown colonists. All right, but that's our flip lesson for today. Make sure you get all those questions done on Edpuzzle. Hopefully you're getting 100% on them. Make sure you're not getting something below an 80 so we can go on and move on to what we're doing for the rest of the day in class. All right, have a great one, guys. See ya.